Think about it. We use it for literally everything, every single day. But here's the thing. The most important tool in modern life didn't start with some giant corporation or a grand business plan. Nope. It started with one person, an act of desperation, and an idea that would become the World Wide Web. This is the story of its inventor, Tim Berners-Lee. First things first, let's clear up something that trips a lot of people up. In 1989, the internet was already a thing. You can think of it like a massive global system of pipes connecting millions of computers. The pipes were there, but there were no taps, no browsers, no links, no easy way to actually get to the information flowing through them. That missing piece, well, that was the web. And get this. This invention wasn't born out of some grand desire for fame or fortune. As Tim Berners-Lee himself put it, creating the web was an act of desperation. He was just a guy trying to solve a very personal and deeply frustrating problem. So what was this huge problem he was so desperate to solve? Well, to really get the solution, you've got to understand the chaos that came before it. I want you to imagine you're a scientist at CERN back in the 1980s. You've got thousands of the world's most brilliant researchers all in one place. But every single piece of data, every note, every project file is locked away on a different, totally incompatible computer. If you wanted to find something, you had to know exactly which machine it was on and exactly how to access it. It was a digital Tower of Babel, and it was grinding collaboration to a complete halt. So who was this person who was so perfectly positioned to solve this puzzle? Well, it helps that innovation was practically in his DNA. His parents were both pioneering computer scientists who actually worked on one of the very first commercial computers. And even as a kid, he was tinkering with a model railway, fascinated by how you could connect different parts to make a whole system work. That mindset, it would turn out to be pretty essential. Okay, so you've got the right guy, with the right background, facing a really frustrating problem. And what comes next is that little spark, an idea that was, let's just say, a little rough around the edges. You know, this wasn't some sudden eureka moment in the bathtub. This idea was brewing for nearly a decade. Way back in 1980, he built a little personal prototype called Inquire, just to organize his own notes, using this concept of hypertext, linking documents together. It wasn't until March of 1989 that he finally wrote it all down and formally proposed a bigger system for all of CERN. But the reaction to his proposal wasn't exactly a standing ovation. It wasn't some perfectly polished blueprint for the future. His boss, Mike Sendall, famously just scribbled on the cover that it was vague but exciting. And with that kind of lukewarm but absolutely crucial endorsement, Berners-Lee got the green light to start building. So from that vague but exciting note, things are about to get very, very real. This is where the magic really happens. The absolute genius of his idea was that he didn't have to invent everything from scratch. He was connecting things that already existed in a totally new way. As he put it, I just had to take the hypertext idea and connect it to the TCP and DNS ideas and, ta-da, the World Wide Web. He basically took the concept of linking documents and just plugged it into the internet's existing delivery service and its address book. It was a brilliant mashup. And what he created was this beautifully simple system built on three key things. First, there was HTML, a super simple language to write a web page. Second, URLs, which give every single page a unique address, kind of like a street address for information. And third, HTTP, which is the protocol that lets your browser go to that address and fetch the page. That simple, powerful framework, that was the key to unlocking everything. And this picture just perfectly captures how humble the beginnings really were. This machine, a Next computer, was it. The entire original World Wide Web ran on this one single computer. It was the first web server, and there was even a sticker on it that read, "This machine is a server. Do not power it down." Can you even imagine? On December 20th, 1990, it happened. History was made. The first ever website flickered to life. And what was on this groundbreaking first page? Well, it was a website about the website. It was basically an instruction manual for this new, incredible tool, explaining what it was and how other people could join in and build their own. Okay, this next part of the story is, for me, maybe the most important part. It's not just about what he built, but what he did with it next. It defines everything. So for an invention that would go on to generate trillions, with a T, trillions of dollars in economic value, what did Tim Berners-Lee get? This. A big fat zero. In what might be the single most important decision in the web's history, he and CERN agreed to make the underlying technology completely free. No patents, no fees, no royalties. They just gave it to the world. Years later, at the 2012 London Olympics opening ceremony, he sat there in the stadium and tweeted a message that was then displayed to billions of people around the globe. It perfectly captured the entire spirit of his invention. This is for everyone. But a vision like that needs a guardian. So to protect that idea of a free and open web, he founded the World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C. You can think of them as the neutral referees, whose entire job is to make sure the web's core rulebook stays open and accessible to all, preventing any single company from ever owning it. But the story doesn't just end there with a happy open web, because now the man who invented the web is on a new mission to save it from the very forces that it unleashed. Think about the irony here for a second. The original problem was a lack of connection. Information was stuck in silos and way too hard to access. But today's problem? It's the complete opposite. We share so much that our personal data has become a commodity, controlled and exploited by just a few giant platforms. So what's his response? It's a new project called Solid. And the big idea is to re-decentralize the web by giving each of us our own secure personal data pod online. Imagine your photos, contacts, calendar, all that living in your pod, which you control. Instead of giving your data away to apps, you just grant them temporary access to use it, and you could revoke that access at any time. His new company, Inrupt, is now building the technology to try and make this vision a reality. Which brings us to the ultimate question, right? The web was born from this incredible philosophy of openness and universal access. But as it's grown into this massive commercial and social force, has it stayed true to that original vision? That's something for all of us, its users, to really think about.